Hey fellow foodies, it's Faye from faysfood.com. Today I'm going to show you how to make Valentine's Day themed decorated sugar cookies. So I'm starting with my trusty old sugar cookie recipe. So to start, you want to go ahead with some butter in a bowl. Looks like a lot of butter, but trust me, this is going to make a lot of dough. And of course the butter is unsalted and softened. You want to get this going on a medium speed for about 5 minutes. And then I stop the mixer and I do scrape the paddle and the bowl. Okay, so turn on the mixer again on a low speed, and then you can begin to add in the sugar in a steady stream. Okay, you want to mix that on a medium speed for about 5 minutes. Gonna look fluffy like this. You can go ahead and scrape down the bowl and the paddle. Lovely. Now what we can do is add in the eggs. I'm gonna add one egg at a time. You can see it's at a low speed. You can bump it up to a medium speed once the first egg is in, but you really want to wait till the first egg is absorbed before adding in the next egg. Okay, once both eggs are absorbed, you can go ahead and add in the sour cream. My sour cream is of course at room temperature, and I'm going to add it all at once. This is going to add some nice moisture and flavor to the cookie. Because flavor is important, I'm going to add in a whole tablespoon of vanilla extract. Okay, and then the next thing is you want to add in the lemon zest. I'm zesting 2 medium-sized lemons. And before I zest lemons or limes, I typically do soap them and wash them and clean them really well, because God knows how many people's hands have touched those lemons and limes before they came to you. So that's just a little tip there. As long as you wash off the soap completely and dry them really well, it's not a problem. Okay, so after you add in the zest, you can go ahead and add the juice from both lemons. I love this dough because it's nice and soft and chewy, but the flavor's on point too. You get the vanilla, you get the butter, a bit of tang from the sour cream and lemon. It's really nice. Okay, so after adding the juice, you can go ahead and stop the mixer, scrape down the bowl and paddle really well. Okay, you can see it's nice and fluffy and lighter in color. That's what we're looking for. We have our bowl of sifted dry ingredients. We're going to go ahead and add that to our mixture. You can see I'm taking care of the sides before I even turn the machine on. Things love to cling to the sides of the bowl. Okay, so here's what I do. I go ahead and pulse it, and I'm not even going to edit this portion of the video because I do want you to see what I'm talking about. I pulse it until kind of large clumps of dough forms. This is just so that I can control the mixing process. I don't want to over mix it. So This really allows me to do that. You can see flour is still visible, but there are kind of clumps of dough. That's what I'm looking for. So at this point, I took it off the mixer. I'm going to take care of the sides yet again. You see, flour loves to cling to that side. So take care of all the sides, and then I begin to do like a stabbing or poking motion. I'm not sure what to call it. This is how I tend to mix cookie dough. I found that this is what works best for me. So I'm just gonna do this until it reaches the point I like. I want some of the flour to be absorbed, not necessarily all of it, but I want a dough to form. You can see how the dough has formed. That's what we're looking for. You can see it's a clear, I mean, there's flour still visible, but it's a dough. Okay, so now we can move on. So I have 2 pretty large pieces of plastic wrap. You can also use a plastic container, but this is a lot of dough. I usually get 2 large dough balls out of this recipe. So just begin to kind of pile on the dough on top of the plastic wrap. And then you can go ahead and I kind of like twist it like that. And then I cover the top with another piece of plastic wrap. Okay, flip it. You can see as I cover it, I do kind of pack it in with my hands. And it's really important that we cover this well, because whether it's in the fridge or freezer, you want this dough to retain its moisture and its flavor. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the freezer overnight. You can go ahead and put it in the fridge if you're in a bind. You can put it in the fridge for a few hours. That will work too. But you definitely do need to chill it. Okay, so the next day, this is what our dough looks like. You can see it's slightly darker in color, but it's definitely a uniform ball of dough. That's what we're looking for. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this dough in half. I definitely don't need this much. I'm gonna just set the excess to the side. Okay, and this dough is very crumbly to begin with, so don't be alarmed by that. I'm gonna lightly flour my surface, lightly flour the top, and then begin to work the dough. As you work the dough, it will become much smoother. Okay, what we're looking to do is form it into a nice ball or disc of dough. Okay, and once you do that, you can lightly flour the top and begin to roll it out. I'm using a fondant roller to roll it out, but you can use a regular rolling pin. I'm just using a fondant roller because it's kind of a small piece of dough. So you can see I'm rolling it and turning it, rolling it and turning it, and packing it in. You want to do that process as you roll. See, I'm packing down the sides. That's what you want to do as well. So I'm looking to roll this out to about a 1/2 inch thickness. I think, in my opinion, that's the perfect thickness for cookie to icing ratio. I'm going to use this cute little double-hearted cutter. I'm going to dip it in the flour and then shake off the excess flour. And then I can go ahead and press down the cutter onto the dough. Okay, and because our dough is cold, it's gonna make cutting these out very easy. Your dough, you should have thawed your dough for about half an hour to almost an hour. You really are looking for the dough to be cold but pliable. If it's not cold, it will spread in the oven and it will be very hard to cut out shapes. So just be mindful of that. Okay, so I'm gonna just take off the excess around the cutters. Okay, so once all the pieces are cut out, you can go ahead and place them on the cookie tray. You see that there is some space in between them. That's because the cookies do need air to bake surrounding them. They're not going to spread, but the air around them is important. Also, any excess flour or crumbs around them, you can just brush those off with a pastry brush. We're going to bake this at 350 for about 9 to 11 minutes, or until the bottom edge is very lightly browned. Now obviously the smaller pieces will bake off faster than the larger pieces, so just be mindful to watch that. If you get any bubbles that form while baking, just take your little needle tool or toothpick, poke underneath the bubble, and then kind of press gently with your thumb. Okay, so after they're out of the oven, I leave them on the tray for about 2 or 3 minutes, and then I move them to a wire rack. While they're on the wire rack, you can allow them to cool completely. That's very important. You can't decorate a warm cookie. Okay, and you can see the color we're looking for. Even lighter than this, a tad bit lighter would be fine. Nothing darker and nothing too light. Okay, so now for the royal icing. I already had some on hand, so I'm not going to show you how to make it, but once you have your royal icing made, you can go ahead and separate them into the bowls that you want to color them in. You can see I'm taking a paper towel and I'm just spraying the top lightly with some water. This is going to keep them from drying out. Once they're covered with the paper towel, I do also cover them with plastic wrap as extra precaution. Okay, so kind of go one by one and color them as you please. I'm obviously using red. It's Valentine's Day. So I'm going to color it with some gel food coloring. That's definitely the type I recommend. And when you're coloring anything, any type of icing, I do recommend that you use less rather than more. You obviously can't take it out, but you can always add more if you need to. Okay, so just begin to mix it. Just note that as you mix it, it will form air bubbles, so try not to overdo it. And try not to overdo it with the food coloring. Once you reach the color you want, then just stop. You can see the color is getting to where I want. I want a nice deep red. And typically colors do darken as they sit, so just keep that in mind as well. Right, so now that the color is where I want it, I want the consistency to get where I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and spray some water in there and give it a mix. Just be mindful, I'm looking for a flood consistency, which is typically a 10-second consistency. So I'm gonna do the 10-second test, which is a knife down the middle. Does it heal up in 10 seconds? Meaning, does that line disappear in about 10 seconds? Yes, we're good to go. Okay, so this is my icing. I'm gonna do this. You can see that there's some air bubbles. What you have to do is just pop them. Tap the bowl on top of the table a few times. Let it settle. If there's some air bubbles, you pop it with a toothpick or a scriber tool. So I just colored all my icings. I got them into my pastry bag. If you're using a bottle, you can do that, a squeeze bottle. I like using these tipless pastry bags. So we're ready to decorate, which is the fun part. Okay, so I'm just gonna do some very basic designs. I'm sorry if my arm's in the way. This angle is kind of... I didn't realize how this angle was, but... oh well, you get the idea. Okay, so I start with the outline, and then you want to just fill it in. Hearts are really the easiest thing to do. So if you're really starting out with this cookie decorating thing, hearts is probably what I recommend starting out with. Hearts or circles. These kind of designs are really easy to do to begin with. You can see I'm using the same icing as I outlined with. Some people use different icings to outline and flood. I typically don't. And then you use your toothpick or your turkey lacer or your scribe tool, whatever you're using to move the icing around. And if you find areas of the cookie has less icing than others, you can go ahead and add more. Just make sure to do it quickly. Royal icing, typically, it does really dry quickly, so you want to work pretty quickly here. And you can see I'm doing something you shouldn't be doing. I'm setting the icing bags down. What you should be doing is covering the end of the pastry bag with a damp paper towel so that the icing doesn't harden. You can see that I'm moving around the icing as needed. I'm going to show you this cool marbling technique. So this is a wet on wet technique. It's obviously wet icing on wet icing. So the red still hasn't dried. I'm going to put on some pink stripes. Now here's the cool part. You can take your toothpick or scribe tool, make sure it's clean, and go down, clean it off, go up. You're basically going in the opposite direction each time and cleaning off your scribe tool each time. That's very important. And it creates a very nice looking marble design. Shake it well. See how nice that looks? Who wouldn't want to get that? Who wouldn't want a cookie like that? Give it to yourself if you want. It's perfect. So my advice is that if you want to begin to learn anything, just jump in. Just give it a try. And obviously you're not going to be good at it at first. No one is. Even the masters of today's cookie decorating world was never the master of it in the beginning. So obviously you got to start somewhere. Give it a try. If you want to start decorating, I definitely recommend hearts or circles. Big shapes are definitely easier to learn to begin with. So this would be even a great thing to start with, these Valentine's Day cookies. So just give it a try. You know, practice makes perfect, obviously. The more you do something, the better you will be at it. But you'll never know until you try. I mean, I'm still not a master at all. I'm still learning every day. And if you're like me and you want to learn, but you're an absolute beginner and you don't know where to start, I did put up a post today that is called The Beginner's Guide to Cookie Decorating. This is a comprehensive guide. I tried to make it as information filled, as comprehensive as possible. Let me know if you have any questions. I'd be happy to answer those questions as well. But I kind of made it all in one spot where you can get all the information for beginning this journey of cookie decorating. So that is on the blog. Of course, the recipe for the sugar dough is on the blog. The recipe for the royal icing is on the blog. So go there for those recipes, but also go to the blog for the guide I'm talking about. If you're an absolute beginner but you don't know where to start, that is a great place to start. Okay guys, I'm all talked out. Like, you can probably hear it in my voice. I'm literally just dying for thirst right now. So for the full recipe, go to faysfood.com. For the blog post I was talking about, the comprehensive guide, go to faysfood.com. Like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel for more great videos on the way. And hit the notification bell so you can keep updated with my videos. If you guys want more decorating videos, whether it be cookies, cakes, cupcakes, let me know. Like, I will never know what you guys want to see unless you tell me. I want that feedback. So let me know and I will accommodate. So like this video, give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Comment below for any comments or questions. And give this a try. I believe in you guys. You will succeed. And send me any pictures if you guys end up making these cookies or any other cookies with the recipes. So until next time, guys, you have a wonderful day.
You know I ain't tryna say no dreams. I'm just trying to make this money. I ain't trying to share with the team. Girl, I ain't trying to take nothing from you.